So he holds an MTech in geoinformatics. So my alum. I am also doing my master's in geoinformatics from CSRE, and he has done his undergraduate degree in computer science and engineering. Currently, he is a data science manager at Bain and Company, and has 6.5 plus years of experience in machine learning and deep learning. So he's applying these techniques to solve the real world business problems continuously. So we are thrilled to have both of these guys here today for uh, guiding us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Janvi. Thank you for inviting me. It's indeed a humbling experience to be here. And I must admit, you just said 6.5 years. I just realized I'm that old now. So it's been a number of years now. So graduated in 2018, which has been a while now. So 6.5 years post that, and yeah, I'm very happy to be here and speaking. I don't have slides per se, but I'll be very happy to share my experiences for today. I think before that, I think today is International Women's Day, so I'd love to wish all the amazing women in this call and elsewhere as well very happy Women's Day. Before I started,
Thank you, sir.
I think I'll want to I'll speak for a few minutes, but I'd love to share my experiences in two buckets to be precise. One would be the preparation strategy for placements, etc. I can speak a bit about my domain, which is data science to be precise, and I'd also speak about good part about it about my experiences in my corporate career for the last 6.5 years, as I mentioned, right? But very briefly about me, I think Janvi did introduce me as well, but very briefly, I got placed at McKinsey Knowledge Center as part of McKinsey and Company as a data scientist in 2018. So joined there in July 2018 to be precise as an analyst. Was there till 2021 September, so 3 years, just about 3 years or above. And then I got an opportunity through one of the mentors that I had at McKinsey who had joined Bain a year back. He said, hey, there's an opportunity, would you want to come and join? And that was September 2021. So it's been 3.5 years now that I've been at Bain, grown there, became a manager, managing a team of around 25 members as well across India and another one in Warsaw in Poland. So that's about been my journey. I specifically, like Janvi mentioned, I come from a computer science background. So my master's and everything about my master's was on applications of machine learning and deep learning around it. And I worked under Professor Krishna Mohan from CSRE there. So it was a lot of learning as well, and I owe a lot of my career to Professor Porwal from CSRE as well, where I think some of his courses was literally the foundational base for my career in data science, machine learning, and stuff, right? So really honored and humbled as well to be here. I think in terms of placement and strategies, right? So I'll maybe break it down into three parts, and I love to answer questions basis. Some of it, I think 15-20 minutes might not be enough, but of course, it cannot be a monologue after a point, so I'll keep it as interactive as possible there. So I think the biggest foundational block for a placement is the resume, right? So I think what's great about IIT Bombay and the system around the resume is the validation and the approvals that you require to get each point put on your resume, right? So what that helps us with is the essence of being very thorough with it, right? So every point that you would write has to be validated by somebody. You should have backings, you should have documents to prove and disprove it and all of that, right? So creating the resume and just being comfortable on topics that interests you is super important, right? So when I speak about resume, I think one of the biggest challenges we face, and I've been part of it as well, is the fear of missing out, right? So when you look around resumes, you're like, oh damn, oh, you have people around me have so much skill set. What do I do, right? What how much how much can I put on my resume? So let me tell you this through my experience, and now I'm also part of the recruitment team, etc. So this year I'll also be in the institute with my company visiting. So I think what we've realized is it's not the quantity that matters. I think if you are writing 2 points on your resume, you better be very thorough around it and be very comfortable around it. Don't worry about putting multiple points in your resume because they are the hot topic in the industry and these are the skills that people look for. Trust me, nobody really looks for all the skills to be present in a particular resume, and specifically at a place where people are just starting out their careers, right? So people are just looking at one or two topics where this person has some spike area, has some expertise which they can build on as part of their career trajectory, right? So I think that's been one of my biggest learnings, because I've been there at your place few years back and I've done the same set of things where I also was very cognizant of putting quantity over quality as well, right? So I think that for me is the most important block. Ensuring that you have good course projects as well, not only the master's thesis that we work on, but very good course projects, good documents where the professors can vouch for it. I think that's also very important, because uh, real world applications are things that the industry or the specific companies and the recruiters will look at. I think post that, the second point was around the jobs that I'm interested in, which domain am I interested in, right? Which specific area, because IIT Bombay gives you all the domains that would be available in the industry, right? So for me, uh, having come from the computer science background, I think I had the leverage of coding, right? So coded a lot in my life and stuff. So it was a very clear understanding that, hey, should I go for a software engineering SC kind of a role, or should I then look at a machine learning, deep learning kind of a role, which I've studied for the last 3.5, 4 semesters. So for me, it was very clear that I wanted a ML data science driven job because of two reasons. I think, firstly, a lot of my curriculum was on ML. I did a couple of courses in a computer science department as well, which was on foundations of machine learning by Professor Ganesh Ramakrishnan. And I also did another course which is run in the civil engineering department by uh, Professor Arpita. I think it's on hydroinformatics and stuff, right? So uh, Arpita Mandal, Professor Arpita Mandal. Yes. So I think a lot of my curriculum and courses was on machine learning. So I concentrated a lot on data science. Actually, data science wasn't a term I was aware of until I did machine learning. So I got exposed to machine learning at IIT Bombay. So the idea was, I looked at a lot of my alums in my department as well as in the other departments to look at what are the kind of profiles that they have gone for and where have they gotten the job. So what was very important was having those conversations with the seniors in the department as well as the other departments at IIT Bombay. I think that gave me a lot of motivation that, hey, I too can do it, right? So that was extremely, I think, enthusing for me, right? Have then I think having conversations, I understood what are the skill set requirements, what are the different genres of work that goes on in different companies, etc. Uh, to be very fair, I was looking at a lot of the companies which were coming in day two and day three. McKinsey wasn't really part of something I was aiming at, because none of the alums from my department or MTech, to be very fair, had gone to McKinsey, right? It was BTech or dual degrees who had gone to McKinsey. However, what worked very well was I think I got shortlisted firstly, right? So it was 1st December, second half of the day where I got shortlisted. I mean, I went for the interviews, and I think the rest is history. So I think it went well. The interviews was completely on, like, absolutely grilling me on my master's thesis, etc., drilling me on topics which were on ML, things that I've written on the resume. But trust me, what was great about the company was I had 4 rounds, which included the HR round. But in none of the rounds did they ask me questions on topics that was not written on my resume. So which was something which helped me as well, right? So I think they were probing a bit in terms of, do I understand the topic? Do I understand? I know, I don't know. Like I I worked on something around classification of images. So did I understand topics on classification, ML concepts of that, etc. Right? So uh, that happened. But coming back to the topic on the roles, right? It's very important when the job application forms, the JAPs come out, we spend some time reading through them, understanding if these are things you would like to do for the next 2-3 years of your life, right? Because that's extremely important. And for me, maybe I didn't share this, but before my master's, I spent 1 year as a software developer at Infosys in Bangalore. So I had 1 year of experience in the corporate. So I had a bit of sense of what corporate brings to the table, right? So that helped me in my master's as well, being maybe a bit more motivated to study a bit more in life. But I was very clear that I want to look at roles which would help me in my career and would excite me to continue for the next 2-3 years. I mean, of course, I didn't plan for 10 years. I planned for the next 2 years. Let's see what happens in my roles and careers. Then I'll figure out what would happen. And I think it the I think the most difficult part of the placement journey is in the months of September and October when tests start to happen. I think there are multiple tests that happen throughout the day, mostly in the evening. I think when you sit in those lecture halls, LA 101, LH 101, and there you see around and you see a sea of people around you, and you're thinking, hey, how many would really get shortlisted if 2,000 people are sitting for a particular role? I think that is a place where I've learned the value of friendship with people around. I think because you go back to your hostels, even if you've written the best exams, best aptitude tests, etc., you do have a doubt that, hey, would I get shortlisted or not, right? So I think that is when the true test of friendship, the friendship we've made in the last year or so with hostelites, wingmates, roommates, etc., come to the mix. In MTech, though, second year, you do get single rooms and stuff, so you have a place to rent out when you don't get shortlisted. But I mean, that was a place where a lot of tests happened, but you do not know the outcome till mid-November, right? So the good part was when I started with the test, I was not sure if I was prepared enough, right? I thought I was prepared, but it took me I'll say 5 to 10 tests to really warm up to the process. And at least for me, what happened was a lot of these Japanese companies which were going for data science roles were coming in the first few days. However, I was very clear I was not willing for those roles, at least in a different geography. I was very clear I was going to stay back in the country. So I took up those companies as preparation opportunities, right? So I sat for the test. I wrote the exams without the fear of failure, which was very important because that is very easy to creep in with so many people around, so many people competing for the same slot. Once those happened, I think the 11th, 12th, and the 20th test became very easy. I'll not say very easy, but a lot easier compared to what the first 5 or 10 tests, to be fair. And post that, I think the shortlist started to come around 15th of November is when they start giving you the slot shortlist and ask you to put down your choices in a particular slot. And I think that is where the true thoroughness of your preparation really comes in, because by then you would be done with the semester exam. I would guess the semester had the NSEM is done to a good degree, etc. So the professors are also very cooperating. At least my department was, I mean, they were super cooperating in terms of, okay, because you have TA responsibilities as well. I mean, certain professor would demand certain number of hours for you in the lab, but was super helpful there because we could really sit down as groups of friends vying for similar roles and discuss strengths and weaknesses of each other very openly, because that's a difficult one as well. Because I mean, to me, I'm the best, of course, but when you're around friends, just having that openness that, hey, I'm gonna be open and understand where I can do better, what can I do to get better, etc. I think was also very important. And once that happened, I think the institute, the PG Academic Council, that year did help us with some of the mock interviews. So I'll be super indebted for that. So there were some seniors as well, not only alums from my department who I directly could reach out, but also seniors from other departments in roles that I was vying for, who helped me understand that, hey, preparation doesn't just mean just introducing yourself and just talking about your strengths and weaknesses. And it's a lot about understanding the role requirements, because day one I had McKinsey, day two First Lord, I think I had Flipkart, right? So the roles and requirements for both these companies are absolutely chalk and cheese. Right? So it was very clear that I had to customize my preparation according to the role, understanding what this company does. And I think one of my biggest takeaway is just being original, because we get into a place where we are under pressure as well, where we want to put in our best foot forward, but in an interview, an answer that is not very well thought through beforehand also helps. So my biggest piece of advice for the people who are going to sit for placement and people who would do amazingly well in their careers is, when you start off for the interviews, I think don't prepare too hard for questions which are more on behavioral topics. Just be yourself, talk about who you are, where you come from, your background, etc. Nobody is really interested to, and I like to believe so, because post-COVID the world has also changed a bit. Else sessions would not happen online during my days. But I think, like I said, my biggest piece of advice is just being original. Just just stay there with the interviewer, because most interviewers, I've attended one at IIT Bombay, but I've taken a lot of interviews post that. They'll make you feel comfortable if you're original, because if they realize this is a very templatized answer that this person has come up with, which you can find on all platforms like Quora and LinkedIn and stuff, they would understand and they would be not so interested or not so bought into your particular candidature, is what I'll put it as well. But like I said, I think resume, understanding which role you're going to go for and being thorough on that topic, and just staying close to your friends, because it's not easy, right? You're alone. You're looking around. You're looking at 3,000 people around you who are sitting for placement. At least if I was part of the placement team, though, just sharing that, as part of, I was a company coordinator as part of the placement team, so I know there were 3,600 people who had registered for placement. So you're competing against a good number of people, but everyone has a role, has a job at IIT Bombay, is what I'll believe in. So I think those are a few experiences that I wanted to share with the group. Happy to answer any questions, anything that you have.
Yeah, sure. So I was also the part of placement team last year. I was the associate placement coordinator. Yes, I can recognize the that competition and that number against we are competing, and that all that like all of these guys who are in the meeting will know how is the environment in LA 101 or something while giving the aptitude test of different companies. So I got one question from my side, like you have done your bachelor's in computer science and engineering, and also you have work experience before your MTech in Infosys as a software developer,
Yes.
which is very good. So, like in MTech in geoinformatics, which is an interdisciplinary uh, course in IIT Bombay. So a lot of people here also a lot of people come from different backgrounds like civil. Like in my case, I have done my bachelor's in urban and town planning, which is somewhat related to the civil. So switching the core companies and choosing between the core companies, core opportunities, and the non-core opportunities. So it's like it's very big decision for non-core people. Like in my case also. So still I'm in a dilemma. Like what should I choose? Because at this stage we didn't know like at what we can do the best.
Yeah. So your question is how do I choose it or take a decision?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Right. I think not as similar, but for me it was similar where I had to choose between software profiles, which I was a Python and a Java developer already. So I knew a bit of it. So I was also moving out of my comfort zone back then. It's not as difficult as yours because yours is very, very different across the two genres of work. So I think it depends on it depends on what courses and what type of topics are you reading or studying in your as part of your curriculum in your MTech. If you feel that you're you're having a growing interest in topics of a certain genre which was not part of something you came from as your background, then there's no harm in doing that. But the point is, in the particular domain that you are part of, you have to be very clear that the roles that you're vying for in your core domain are available at IIT Bombay. I think that is super important. I think in your particular case, there are companies like I think there were companies like ESRI, etc., who had
Yes.
come in. Yes, ESRI, H3, and things that can come in. So just look at the role that you're vying for and see historically in the last 2 3 years, are these roles that have really come in, right? And if yes, then you already have a ray of hope there. If not, take a call in terms of if there are topics or skill set that you've picked up during your 2 years or 1.5 years when you sit for placement, and see if you would want to grow on those topics. Uh, and if not, then you know that the core top, you would want to push yourself and look out for opportunities not only within the institute but also opportunities outside as well. Is going to be my couple of thoughts there.
Also, as you said, you are the part of recruiting team from Bain company. So if you got one resume which is having some non-core background in his or her graduations, undergraduate time, but he has done some like suppose work in MLDL domain during his or her MTech period. So what will be the perspective of recruiters? Like if you have two resumes, one is from computer engineering background and one is from other background, but skills are same they have done in their masters suppose. So and projects are let's say they are similar. So what will be the recruiter's perspective for their undergraduate background?
Hmm. It's a very good question. I think when I was at your place, my perspective was the computer science background student would take precedence. But I think I'm very happy to share that's not the case, because at a early level, at a fresher level, when we are looking at resumes, we are not looking at a lot of background to take a lot of precedence. We are really interested in the person's project or the work that that person has done. And I think a lot of the shortlisting, if of course the premise of this is the particular department has the gap open, right? So I'm guessing it's not a huge problem at IIT Bombay, but that is not a deal breaker, to be very fair, right? So if there is a relative marking that needs to be done on those two resumes, and if let's say the person from the computer science or coding background has come in, and the other person who's not from a computer science background has better projects and use cases that the person has worked on, I think then it's a no-brainer that the latter win. However, the challenge comes, there's a nuance, the challenge comes when there's a tiebreaker. You have to take a call, and there's not much you can choose between the two resumes. I think that is when the former might take precedence, but I'll be very honest, it doesn't happen to us. It's 1 out of 100 times.
Because most MTech people will like demotivate because of their undergraduate background, because we have to put a specialization, undergraduate specialization in our resume. So
I think like I said, right? So don't worry about it, because I've had so many, like 25 people in my department as well, and 4 of them were CS, 21 were not. And Janvi, you would relate to what I'm saying. I think that was a continuous question in their minds, but all of them, like I look at, and from other departments as well, are very, very successful in their career, right? So it is an apprehension when we start off, and it's rightly so. I was also there, but it's not really something that recruiters really think about. It's about what's there on your resume. That's why I say the thoroughness on the points that are mentioned on the resume is the most important of it, and the sole most important.
yes, it's like very nice to my ears, like listening to that. Like no background is very important to enter into our IT field. So guys, you guys have any questions, please put it in the chat box, or you can directly ask to sir. Anyone has some questions? Yes, Prakhar.
Yeah, hi sir. Am I audible?
Yes, hey Prakhar.
Yeah, so I have 2 questions for you. First question is, how does your day-to-day work look like? What do you do on a day-to-day basis? And the second question is, if let's say a master's student wants to apply for a summer internship at Bain, then what should be the process for him? And are there any chances and off campus in that too?
Got it. So maybe I'll take the first question, of course. First. I think at Bain, or I'm part of a company called, which is part of management consulting. So we really work with clients to solve their business problems. It's mostly to understand how can I help them with strategies, how can I help them with data-driven decision making, how can I help them with, let's say, maximizing their revenue and stuff. So there are a lot of these use cases or different clients that I work with. So my day-to-day work would typically be, working on a specific problem statement. Right now I lead a team. So there are individuals in the team who would need my guidance in terms of, okay, if I'm building this model, let's say ML model, or if you are doing this analysis, if you're writing this complex logic, which might be optimization as well, linear or non-linear, then are we doing it the right way? Just having a sense check of things. But right now, as part of my career, I think I don't implement a lot of things myself, right? Like I have a team which does it. I think I've stepped up to that role a year and a half back, where I need to oversee people if they are doing the right set of things. But that also means that there are 3 projects under me that I look at, 3 clients, and there are individuals in the team who take care of the implementation aspects, and I help strategize how can they build the best model, what can that translate into business outcome and stuff. So that's the first question. It's a very tough answer to give because I've tried giving it at different places. On the second question, the answer is, of course, yes. Right. So I think we've not had too many people from IIT Bombay from masters vying for summer internships, specifically in data science kind of a domain. However, having said that, we do hire from other IITs as well, which which has the liberty of giving people 3 to 6 months period to spend in the industry during the MTech. I think IIT Bombay doesn't have that flexibility, if I recall correctly, unless something has changed. The answer is yes. If you are interested, you can always reach out to somebody like me or somebody from Bain and say that I'm interested in a specific domain, and we can figure out an internship opportunity accordingly.
And lastly, how can we contact you after this?
I'm happy to drop my email ID. I'm available on LinkedIn as well. Just search me. I'm happy to have a conversation, but I've shared my email ID.
Definitely. Thank you, sir.
No worries.
Yes. Anyone other than Prakhar has some questions? Yeah, I guess someone is talking. Yeah, please go ahead. Anant Krishnan, do you have any questions?
That's all good. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on LinkedIn or message me on my email ID. I'm very happy to have a conversation with anybody from the institute. Right? So, not a challenge.
Yeah, sure. We'll wait for 2 minutes. If anyone has questions, they can put it in the chat box, or else we can conclude this session after this. Like lately, I have also asked one question to Harsh sir, also who was our one guest. Like the transition between, like, as you have done your, I mean, you have experience as a software developer before your MTech. So, is there a big difference, like switching between the academia and entering into our corporate world? So, what is the cons and pros and cons of it?
The
To get to this, I have to enter into the corporate world also, but still, like,
well,
what are the
maybe the biggest con is waking up early and not having the liberty to bunk classes. I think that's the biggest con because it's pretty natural. If you bunk classes, nobody's, I mean, of course, you'll get penalized, but nobody is going to come after you for your life. So I think, jokes apart, I think the challenge with a corporate is nobody's going to ask you to skill up. Nobody's going to ask you to learn a topic. It's on you to learn the topic, and nobody's going to give you that extra time to learn that. Right? So it's an expectation that you're going to do your responsibilities, which are part of your job description, and yet have the time and the ability to skill up on topics. Specifically in the domain that I am part of, the world has changed after generative AI has come in. Right? So I was privileged that I understood deep learning, hence life was easier for me. But that is a challenge where you do not have enough time for your upskilling, and nobody is willing to give you that time to do that because business has to go on as usual. I think if I have to put it, that's the challenge, but that's also the part which makes people grow faster than the others if you're really willing to put in that effort, etc.
Yes, I guess no one has some questions, or they are just DM'd you.
That's okay. Perfect.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, huge thank you, Bodhisattva Neogy, sir. I'm so sorry if I spelled you wrong.
No, Bodhisattva is fine.
Okay.
I think all professors, everybody in the department called me Bodhi, so it is.
Yes, it was very refreshing to talking my alum, like from my department, and also like Purval sir and BK sir are still in our department and they are continuing their legacy with their foundational courses. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yes, and of course, thank you all participants. Stay connected with PGSE and tailor your resume and be prepared for your phase 2 placement season. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Janvi. Thanks
Yes.
both the Janvi. So
Yes.
my
Yeah.